clearly this dude's a shady character. It's not a question you're gonna ask a couple. It's like, hey, is your dad shady? You don't ask people that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gimbal Guys podcast yet again. I'm your host, Sam, along with my co-host, Nick. And today, we've got a fun episode for you. We have some stuff that was written in by you guys.
By the viewers, finally.
We have a couple stories today, right? Maybe just one. We'll see how timing goes.
One really long one, and then we have another one just in case.
Okay, yeah. I mean, definitely want to hear the long one. It should be interesting. But as a reminder, if you guys want to submit your own horror stories, funny stories, awkward stories, maybe you dropping the ball or something, literally anything you think is interesting, worth sharing about kind of a wedding experience you've had as a vendor, as a guest, literally anything. There's going to be a link below where you guys can submit a story anonymously, of course, and we'll read it on the podcast and react to it. Maybe make fun of you. No, I'm just kidding. Make fun of the situation. Yeah, I mean, let's hear this first one because I'm definitely intrigued.
Okay. So this is from the perspective of a videographer. So a wedding videographer here. They even put a story title. This story is called Whiplash.
I'm already hooked to see how the title relates.
And it is very long, everyone. So buckle up, get your coffee, tea, whatever, get comfy.
Yeah, this could be a whole episode in itself.
This story takes place last summer in Cape Cod. I was excited for a great day. On paper, it seemed like it was sure to be a pretty luxurious wedding day. On paper. Mm-hmm. My first stop is usually at the venue to drop off some gear, get a sense of the space, get establishing shots, etc. I pulled into the parking lot and grabbed my gear out in the trunk. I was a little bit taken aback to find that it was a typical wedding factory type venue. From the outside, it was just a bit ... underwhelming given the correspondence leading up to the day. So he was misled.
So probably he's a wedding factory type thing. So probably like a lower end seeming
It's just not
venue?
as luxurious as he probably wanted it to be or expected it to be.
Okay.
So I walked through the doors and received yet another surprise. The ceremony room was decked out in some of the most amazing florals I've ever seen. I wasn't sure what to think anymore, but had the suspicion that the florals themselves may have cost more than the entire venue. At this point, I dropped all expectations I may have and just locked in. Next up, bride's room. The next hour or so was pretty uneventful. However, whereas most brides are a little bit nervous or focused, pensive, this one was, I don't know how else to say it, a bit crazy. Very loud, a bit wired, and with a sense of humor that causes you to laugh at jokes delivered with conviction, even if you don't quite understand them. In short, a fun person to be around. So we left for the venue where the first look was set to happen. This was the first time I met the groom. I introduced myself to him and he struck me as distracted, like his mind was elsewhere. His demeanor was the complete opposite end of the spectrum as his soon-to-be wife. I didn't have much time to ponder this before the bride arrived for the first look, but I would get the answer soon. During the first look, the groom asked the bride, "What did you do in there?" She laughed it off, but that was the first time I suspected that maybe he was as shocked as I was about the florals. Oh, okay. He looked genuinely shocked, but then again, they planned the wedding together, so why would it have been that much of a shock?
Together. Interesting.
The rest of the day followed that pattern. Luxurious decor and a seemingly shocked groom, all taking place inside a run-the-mill wedding venue. Whiplash all day.
Wait, okay. Is this like reference to Whiplash, the film? I've never seen Whiplash, the film. Have you?
No.
Okay. Maybe it's a reference to that.
Maybe.
Or it's just kind of like
If it's a reference, whoever wrote this, sorry, I don't understand your reference.
It's kind of showing that it's like completely unexpected. Like you see this kind of like shell venue that looks like it's pretty cheap, basic on its own, and then you get inside and it's like a crazy floral display. So it's kind of like, whoa, take it. I don't know.
Well, we're not even halfway done, so here we go.
Maybe it is a film reference and we're just being idiots.
Towards the end of the night, during his speech, the father of the bride made what we all took to be a joke. Quotes, here's the actual joke here. My daughter did a wonderful job with this day, didn't she? If you look around at all these details, they're quite something. I promised to give her everything she wanted, and that promise just about gave me a heart attack. But didn't it turn out amazing? Cue applause and laughter. So I grabbed my customary cup of coffee at the dessert table before heading to my car and driving home. I need to do that more.
Yeah.
There's always coffee at the end. I don't know why I don't grab some. I really should.
I'm like, I have a weird kind of like just superstition about coffee late in the day that's what's going to keep me up. But then what I end up doing,
it's decaf.
Oh, is it?
I think they have regular, but I think they probably have like normally 3 jugs.
Crazy to me.
Like 3 little jug things. 2 of them are normally decaf and then 1's regular.
Oh.
Because like they understand. No one wants to stay up all night.
Yeah. I mean, I guess too, I don't want to get the bowels going on the car ride home. I usually end up getting a Monster anyway, so like I guess it doesn't matter.
True. Okay, so he grabbed his cup of coffee, got the car, driving home, and he backed up the footage and then he went to bed. Okay. So a few days later, the father of the bride sent me an email. He thanked me and told me that the final payment would be sent soon. That's a weird thing. He should have got paid day of. Anyway, apologizing again for not being able to send it before the wedding. It didn't even occur to me that they never paid the final amount. As I literally just said. I know, but the business side of my business is not, the business side of my business is not my forte. I get it. Anyway, quoting that from his email. This is the quote from the email. We expect our wire in today/tomorrow, as my sender/partner had to provide his U.S. passport yesterday since Citi thought he was Russian. Citi being the bank, SITI. Go figure.
Sounds very like secret agent,
so
money laundering type thing here.
Passport needed to prove he wasn't a Russian. Like what? Anyway,
not something you want to hear from the father of the bride the day after the wedding, essentially.
So this was the first of many, many emails of this kind. Another one here, quote, we can't make the payment yet because of this reason. For example, a week later is what he said. So my partner just sent a domestic wire as well so we can finish off the wedding obligations. All these are just random emails that he kept getting. At this point, I'm beginning to get suspicious and sent the bride and groom explaining that the deliverables will be delayed.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Withhold the final product until you get the payment. If you didn't get paid before the wedding day, we'll go into that.
I told them I won't start editing until I receive the final payment, but they didn't respond. A week later, another email from the father. Hi, I will be able to transact this payment Monday/Tuesday. My partner will be at the bank Monday. And this time he added, if you could please direct all inquiries to me and not the bride, as this is not her issue. So his partner did not go to the bank Monday, or any Monday since, as far as I know. I continued receiving bi-weekly emails telling me that they are tracking the wire in. Before long, I discovered that it wasn't only me on the hook for the final payment because some of the other vendors as well. Some of the other vendors weren't paid as well. We began talking to each other, sharing the emails we were receiving from the father of the bride, partially to laugh at his shitty excuses and partially to commiserate together. And then a break in the case. Someone shared a link to a lawsuit where the family declared bankruptcy earlier that year.
Oh my God.
This is speculation on my part, but it's possible that the family had some money when they began planning and we were worth nothing by the time it was time to make the final payments. Someone else shared a TikTok of the bride bragging about how she didn't care about budget. Quoting that TikTok, "People said to plan here, cut back there. Well, guess what? I didn't do any of that. I didn't. I went full send to the moon, and I regret nothing." God, this is horrible. The day was perfect, but the year leading up to it, absolute hell, misery. And now, a month after the wedding, things about the wedding are still trigger me. And most of it is the financials. I can't be the only newlywed that's getting triggered by all the wedding content on the For You page. If you want to budget well, congratulations. I'm super happy for you. Podcast guys read that. Super happy? What? I'm super happy for you, brackets, podcast guys.
Oh,
Oh,
that's a no for us.
That's a no for us. Oh, we're the podcast guys.
We're podcast guys. Oh my God.
Whoops.
It's a direction for how we should read the
that
story.
super happy. So I'm super happy in the most sarcastic tone possible because that's how she sounds. Okay, yeah. I'm super happy. If you want to be a
I'm
psychopath,
super happy for you.
if you want to be a psychopath like me and not budget at all and suffer some form of repercussions, but know that everything is going to be okay, then good for you.
Does not sound like everything was okay.
Yeah, that was her TikTok. So moving on, her father was still sending his weekly excuses. Jeez, still sending weekly excuses. And it was clear he didn't respect our intelligence enough to even come up with decent excuses. So fuck that guy. I'll wrap this up with some of my favorite emails he sent me to excuse why the payments weren't made. So these are just emails from this father of the bride. As you are aware, have been waiting for funds to arrive from a transaction with a business associate of ours for a few weeks. The funds are coming from JP Morgan Private Bank. Due to some major administration issues, we have not yet received the funds via wire. Another email here. Fortunately for us, our partner is a very large client of JP Morgan and has a direct line to the CEO of JP Morgan. Due to the embarrassment we both are experiencing by JP Morgan's lack of fulfillment, he has spoken to Mr. Dimon directly as well as the head of private wealth.
Assuming that's the CEO or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who runs that.
Another email here. Good afternoon. The assistant to the CEO of JP Morgan reached out to my partner today and informed him the check was mailed and we should receive it hopefully tomorrow. I will process immediately. And another email here. We did receive confirmation on Wednesday afternoon from the assistant to the CEO of JP Morgan that the situation was handled. I received a tracking number incoming from the USPS and assumed it was the check and reported that to you. But I was mistaken, as it was a return receipt. Regardless, the bank draft is in transit, regular mail, from New York City to Western New York, and we expect it tomorrow, Saturday, or Monday. So there were a lot of, quote, "you will receive it tomorrow" emails, which were, of course, lies. Moral of the story, insist on payments up front and tell your client you're not showing up to the venue unless the final payment is made.
Mic drop.
Unfortunately, I feel like that should be pretty obvious now. Like,
Yeah.
across the board, we've said it. Every other wedding vendor has probably said it. Like, do not show up to the wedding if you have not been paid in full. There is zero reason that you should not have been paid in full prior to the wedding day.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard stories too where photographers, videographers, their final payment hasn't been made. If the couple, client, father of the bride, planner, whatever, has been in communication with them, it's kind of like, hey, I'm so sorry about the delay in this. Like, you will have a check in hand on the wedding day. I feel like in those isolated cases, if you really developed a sense of trust with those people, you can show up on the wedding day, but also tell them like, hey, I'm happy to show up on the day, but I won't be capturing anything unless I have that check in my hand at the start of the day, or else I'm not like shooting anything. Your wedding day will not be captured.
Yeah. And for some reason, if we were in the position of this person where like he didn't get paid on the day no matter what, yeah, I would not have even started ending it. And I don't even know if I would have entertained all these emails. Like, I would probably have stopped caring after this length of time. Just like, if you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to touch this footage ever. Like, just forget it at this point. If it's months and months and months of still these fake ass excuses, then just, it's a waste of everyone's time. Just forget it.
Yeah. And I think this is also just kind of like, this is why you take payments up front.
Right. At least they got the initial deposit, it seems like. When they had the money before.
Yeah.
So our time for being there on the day technically would have been paid for. And then all the editing stuff you just don't do.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, this is also why this is the case of why you receive the payment in full before the wedding day, because some people go into financial ruin after the wedding, and they don't really care about if they're in financial ruin and they're in a difficult situation. They don't care about their wedding photos or video.
You're the last resort, or the last priority. Sorry,
yeah.
So like payment.
They want to make sure they can have a roof over their head. You know, if these guys went bankrupt from a lawsuit,
no, when they're declaring bankruptcy, I don't care a shit about paying you.
Which I'm also like, I'm very intrigued about this guy's line of business and why also he needed to rely on his business partner to send him a wire to pay for his daughter's wedding. Like, those two things shouldn't be connected. They should not be related whatsoever. Those should be two separate things. Your business life is one thing. Your personal life is the other thing.
It sounds like a shady business.
Very shady. I want to know what he was
Russians.
doing. Why was he sued? Like, what was the lawsuit about in the first place? Clearly this dude's a shady character. I mean, don't expect any business owner to really know that going into the day. It's not a question you're going to ask the couple. It's like, hey, is your dad shady? You don't ask people that.
Is your dad shady?
Another good, I'll call it a teaching point. Like, we're some sort of educators or whatever. Like, we're vendors like all these people. So, but something to learn from it is the whole kind of like third party payment clause that you have in place for a contract. I mean, so luckily he was able to kind of communicate that, you know, the client wouldn't receive their stuff until payment was made. And it sounds like payment was being made from a third party. So you could, if you really wanted to go to court with this guy, I mean, I'm sure this guy's probably got plenty of lawyers at this point if he had a lawsuit filed against him and had to declare bankruptcy. But if you had to take this guy to court so you could actually receive your payment, like if you were depending on this payment to feed your family, because it doesn't sound like he clearly never received the payment. But if he needed to receive the payment and he needed to take them to court, there needs to, like, that guy's signature needs to be on a contract somewhere, as he's the guy who's responsible for payment. Because, like, if it's just the bride or the groom's signature on the contract, then it's, you know, your argument doesn't hold as much weight because they're like, oh, well, we weren't paying for it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know the full, like, legal implications because I'm not a lawyer myself. I know that if in cases where a parent is paying for the wedding, or if a planner is booking you, like, you need to, and the couple has given the planner like the full budget and the planner's the one who's dispersing the payments, you need to have a third party payment agreement in place to receive payment from that third party, but also acknowledge that the client who you're going to be actually delivering the things to is the couple, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then you could go to court and I think be able to receive payment from that third party without compromising your duties for the couple. I don't know exactly how it works, so definitely don't quote me. Do your own legal research. Get a get a lawyer to see how this works. Maybe bring this scenario to them to see what can be done to legally resolve it. Because the other thing too is like if you win your dispute too, like you shouldn't have to have any like legal fees out of pocket. If you win your dispute, the legal fees are supposed to be like paid by the like losing party or something like that. There's a whole bunch of things, but yeah, very unfortunate scenario. The bride's TikTok is hilarious to me.
Yeah, no, that is a crazy TikTok.
She's like, I went balls out, I went full send, and I didn't care about money, but now I care about it. Well, people, this is why you put budgets in place. I mean, we talk about too, like, don't hire solely based on budget, but definitely make it a factor, because you don't want to be put in this situation following your wedding. You want to be making careful financial decisions.
I mean, yeah, if you can't afford someone, don't use them. Like, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing to be mentioned about parents paying for weddings, which is, I would assume, pretty common these days.
Common.
I don't think any young couple getting married with like, I guess the caliber that the wedding industry is at can afford it on their own, unless they're like, loaded, or they're doing a small micro wedding or elopement sort of
Which
thing.
also is getting more common because of the fact that
Exactly. That's why we see the wedding
money.
industry going in two different directions at the same time. It's the smaller side is getting smaller and the bigger side is getting bigger, because there's a huge amount of people who want to go balls out because they can afford it. And then there's also the people who were kind of in that middle market, but they're realizing like, I'd rather buy a house sort of thing. And so they're doing tiny weddings. So it's like, if your parents are paying for your wedding, you need to talk to them about their financial situation and actually make sure they physically can pay for the wedding. And, taking it with a grain of salt with this story, maybe they were in the financial position to pay for this wedding and they were okay to go balls out, and, go full send into the planning process. But then they unexpectedly had this like lawsuit thing filed against them. And all of a sudden they were in a crazy situation. So maybe just giving them the benefit of the doubt, they thought they would be able to afford this wedding. And now they're like, shoot, now we can't. But yeah, even if a lawsuit is a possibility, I mean, I don't expect to be sued.
Well, I also, looking back at this, I also wanted to go back and be like, clearly the groom had like no idea that any of this money was going to be spent. Like, he is the innocent guy in all of this. Like, he had no clue that all this money was going to be spent on these decorations. Yeah. So I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where this couple is now. I don't know. Like,
jail.
Well, I mean, again, it's not the couple's fault. It's the father of the bride could be in jail. Like, who knows? Is the couple still together? Was he completely in the dark about this whole financial situation?
I would assume
kind of like, hey, here's the family you're marrying into, like, and here are the problems. Yeah. Like, literally on the wedding day, it's kind of like, holy crap. Like, look at all these flowers. It's like, yeah, we spent all of our money on this. All of it. It's gone. Like, what do you do? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
If I were the groom, I wouldn't sign the marriage certificate at that point. I would walk away if I didn't know these things. But yeah, I mean, do your homework. Talk to your fiance. Talk to your fiance's parents. Make sure these things can happen. Have an open line of communication. Crazy stuff. And if you're a vendor, get your payment up front in full. And this is why this industry is like this. This is why in the wedding industry, as a vendor, you need your payment up front. Simple as that. You want to read the other story?
Yeah, you want
we
to?
have some time? I think we do. Oh, yeah.
I figured, yeah.
Alrighty.
Read this one?
So that was a bit of a heavy story.
I have no idea what this one's about either.
Yeah, thanks for submitting that story, videographer. Thanks for submitting Whiplash. That was
sorry we didn't get your reference.
Yeah. Apologies. So we have another story today from a wedding planner / coordinator. The story title is Respect the Cues. I'm assuming P's and Q's or something like that. I don't know.
Wait, how's Q spelled? Like
Quues.
Oh, okay.
So like P's and Q's. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something else. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong.
No, if it's with a Q, it's like, when I'm thinking like on Spotify, like
No, it's not that.
So how's it spelled?
Quues.
Oh.
So not Queus
Okay, yeah.
Or whatever. Like,
Okay,
like a line.
Whatever. Never mind.
Okay.
Just read.
First, Nick and Sam, love your work and the both of you. Thank you.
Wherever you are. I have no idea who wrote that, but thanks.
Appreciate you two sharing my story as well. My story touches upon the theme of respecting the cues of a wedding coordinator. I worked a wedding with a DJ that from the start was a bit questionable, and I had my concerns, but at the end of the day, my couple chose this DJ, so as a wedding coordinator, you have to work with sometimes concerning or questionable vendors. On the day of the wedding and throughout the reception, I like to talk to my vendors, especially a DJ, about waiting for my cues. Oh, okay. So this is definitely cues, like signal.
Got it.
Okay. I'm going to start that again. On the day of the wedding and throughout the reception, I like to talk to my vendors, especially a DJ, about waiting for my cues to start a song and so forth. I can sometimes read a room better than others in my role. This DJ just wasn't on the same page as me and seemed to do their own thing, even after having a few conversations. Where I really questioned this vendor was during the best man's speech during the reception. The best man and groom were brothers and unfortunately lost their other brother unexpectedly a few years ago. The best man's speech was touching and mentioned the brother who had The best man's speech was touching and had mentioned the brother who had since passed, leaving the groom and the bride in tears towards the end. Sorry, I need to make a little bit of a comment here. I need some more commas in this story. Grammar people. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I knew this was most likely going to be the case, so I specifically told the DJ ahead of time, wait for my cue, as after the speeches, the couple was planning to go into their first dance. Did the DJ wait for my cue? The answer would be no. My teary-eyed groom and bride sadly made their way to the dance floor for their first dance and afterwards came to me asking what happened. I could not have been more upset and honestly PO'd at the DJ for
pissed off.
Oh. I could not have been more upset and honestly pissed off at the DJ for not respecting my cues, which would have allowed for some additional time for the couple to collect themselves. Maybe take a few moments away from guests and then return to the reception to have their first dance. Needless to say, the rest of the reception went well and I maintained my professionalism while working with the DJ for the remainder of the evening. Upon leaving for the night, I did express my displeasure to the DJ as he was packing up. Whatever he chooses to do with that information, we'll see. But regardless, we'll see. But needless to say, I would not recommend that DJ to other couples in the future. Respect the cues. It's that simple, or so I thought.
Well, that's good that, the rest of the night went well. I can just envision this happening, like these two people like bawling their eyes out, making their way to like be forced to dance in front of people.
It's kind of funny.
It's like visually, it's funny, but
you were in the moment.
If
if we were the videographers filming that, we would be like,
yeah, I would.
Should we
feel
be
weird
recording
filming
this?
it? Like, they clearly don't want this right now.
Yeah. I mean, we've had issues with DJs not respecting the cues, No,
that planner's right though. Like they said that, they might read the room better than most. In that particular case, how hard is it to read that room?
It's literally read the room.
They are crying. The story was so emotional. It makes sense. They need a minute. Don't go into some dance where they have to like put themselves together in front of everybody.
Yeah. Slightly on the other side of the story, but not really. I guess so. Her role was a coordinator in this day. She said her title was a planner/coordinator. So I assume she was just hired to be, I'll call it day of coordinator, and she didn't have as much input on the planning process. I'm just going to assume that.
Well, I thought, I forgot what I said in the beginning. Like,
see.
Did they recommend this DJ and like as an option and the couple just ended up choosing them? Or did the couple come?
The couple ended up choosing this DJ.
Okay, so I guess
From the start was a bit questionable, and I had my concerns, but my couple chose this DJ. So as a wedding coordinator, you have to work with sometimes questionable or concerning vendors. So
maybe she
I'm
didn't
assuming the
recommend
couple,
him.
Yeah, I'm assuming the couple kind of like were the planners in this instance.
Yeah,
and
they
she
came
was
in
just,
with their vendors of choice.
And she was just there to make sure the day went smoothly. So my point is, okay, we know the best man is going to give some form of emotional speech here. Why not do the first dance right after the entrances and do speeches after the fact, and then go from speeches into dinner? I'm not a wedding planner, so I don't want to take anybody's job, but that's what I would have done. Like,
wait, isn't that how our weddings tend to fall?
Yeah. And I think that's a great system because you do entrances, everybody gets hyped up, everybody kind of like gathers around the dance floor, the couple enters the dance floor straight into their first dance, they get to share a moment, and then, you know, everybody sits back down, maybe a first course is plated, served, and then it goes into speeches. And
that is my preferred timeline, like reception timeline for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, we had a very similar situation, and luckily there was no true coordinator at this venue, so the DJ was kind of making sure the reception went smoothly and according to the timeline that he had. This couple had lost the bride had lost her father, and you know, there was a lot of moments throughout the day where there were references to her father. It was very emotional. Her later in the night, her dance, she did a dance with her mom for the parent dances, and it was to a track that her father had recorded. He was like a singer and performer, so like crazy emotional, right?
Oh yeah.
So they entered their reception space into their first dance. The maid of honor was the bride's sister, and she obviously had a crazy emotional speech like, hey, I know like dad's looking down on this, and whole place was in tears. I was in tears. I was like, this is emotional. But that happened after the first dance, and after that, they just went into dinner and had a moment to kind of like recuperate themselves. I guess that timeline was also interesting too, because when they did their emotional like parent dances, they went into party dancing after that.
I don't like that.
Which I guess was an interesting
you
choice.
gotta flip a switch, and like that's weird to do. Like
that situation, it worked out. They were fine. But those are sorts of things that you think about in the planning process. And I guess the DJ is just kind of like, I have a timeline, I'm just going to go to the next thing in the timeline, but the DJ also has to read the room. There's grace in the timeline. Even if, you know, you got to follow XYZ to a T, if it's like wait 5 minutes, let everybody get settled, bring everybody back in for the first dance after that. That's my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on that story?
No, I mean, just the DJ needs to do a better job at reading the room. But at the end
social
of the
awareness
day,
is a huge thing as a wedding vendor, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge huge.
More like as a videographer, this is the most kind of like social awareness I have to do with any of my clients. And I mean, there's always a degree of it with on the commercial side as well. But with like weddings, there's so many emotions and things that need to be managed. You really just have to respect those social cues and read the room in certain scenarios and just making sure you're aware of those situations so you're not saying something stupid or kind of making things move too fast than they need to be. Yeah, be socially aware and listen. If you're a vendor, listen to the coordinator. Respect the cues, do all those things.
Yeah, if the coordinator is telling you stuff like to help you, like listen to what they're saying. Like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to hear more stories like these. These were good ones. We just did a couple today because obviously that first one was pretty long, but we'd love to hear more from you guys. So please, if you have any form of kind of like wedding related story that would be just fun to hear, fun to listen to, just please drop them in the link below. We'll make it the top line. We really want you guys
top of the description, top of everything. Yeah. Top of show notes.
We really want to hear from everybody. As always, give it a 5-star review on Spotify. Follow along wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at SeaMount Weddings. And if you're looking to book a wedding yourself, head over to SeaMountWeddings.com, watch our films, and submit an inquiry. We'd be happy to talk with you. That's it for today. See you guys next time.